Alrighty, this one is for you, Scorpio. That's you guys here. This is Tarot Illumination, and it is your mini generic love and relationship report for the January 2019 season. Happy New Year. It's an insane, dynamic month. Okay, just letting you know in advance, people. I'll keep shuffling. Hold on. Let's just do the routine stuff. We know the drill. For new folks, I've got to go through this. For the regulars, I have to go through this. I'm sorry, because of the new folks. Anyway, uh, for a lot of basic things, please go to the description box below and check out all the links. Number one, please consider joining us at the first Friday group healing event. Okay, first Friday of the month. Okay, next, if you're interested in merch, if you like shopping, Tarot Illumination merch, it's down there. If you're very glamorous and you want to look awesome, get the Tarot Illumination satin silk scarf. If you want that book about January 2020, global restructuring, it's a huge epochal moment in history. I wrote about it. Check the links below. Also, please check the playlist for the Astro Doodles for January 2019. It's really important stuff. If you're interested in personal readings, we can do that too. If you're singles, you can watch this video as well, even though it's designed for people in a situation already. If you use the laws of attraction, you have to understand you're radiating energy and you can attract energy back to you. So what would that look like? Okay. Also, you know the routine, cross watch for your significant others, and also watch for your sun, moon, and rising, especially if they're all different, and see which is the most dominant and makes the most sense, and then reinterpret everything to suit you. Finally, the best way you can say thank you to Tarot Illumination is become a member. Tarot Illumination membership. Check the link below. Cards are being shuffled. Let's go to the notes here. I'm not going to dwell on this because there's a whole playlist about the Astro Doodles for January, okay? Basically, it's very dynamic because all planets are going direct. We've got a new moon eclipse January the 5th. We've got a full moon eclipse on January 20th, okay? Sun enters Aquarius at the same time. And so we've got two eclipses, a lot of directs, so it's kind of a big deal. So if you use Scorpios, no exact direct hits on the lovey-dovey department here. Uranus is outside of Taurus now, back in Aries, but it is going to head back later in the year. The sweet spot for you, frankly, Scorpio, is the Venus and Jupiter over here in your second house of money and values. And maybe that'll help you feel richer and more valuable in love and relationship. The new moon eclipse over there, the 5th, okay, January 5th, in your third house of core essential communications. It's making things very serious and very profound, okay? With all that Capricorn energy, Saturn and Pluto, all piled up in the new moon eclipse, your communications are going to take on a much more profound and serious and more valuable tone. That's what I believe. And that can impact relationships. 2 weeks later, January 20th, we have the big eclipse there. Home and career, home and destiny, fate in the world, your mission, and the foundations in your life. What's happening there? So, I'm not going to dwell on this. You can do the homework. You can go to the other playlists, all right? This is a lovey-dovey report, okay? Sorry, I don't want to belittle it. This is love and relationship. Very, very important part of our lives, okay? So let's do this. We're going to use the Tarot Illumination Crucible spread. It's on the understanding that there's you, Scorpio, a significant other, and a third invisible entity called the relationship. Yeah, it's a living, breathing thing. It has its own energy, its own identity, mission, and purpose, and you guys own that thing. So what is the nature of that thing? Okay, we're going to have a look. Let's have a look. We're cutting it up now. Bless all the cards. Bless the whole deck. Bless Tarot Illumination. Bless you, Scorpios. Bless the whole channel and the technology that we can even do this. Love you guys, all right? So here we go. What are you radiating? That's you, Scorpio. Think of yourself as a cell phone. What are you transmitting? What are you receiving? Over here, what about this other party? What are they transmitting? What are they receiving? What does that look like? Deep down inside of you, at the core, what's the message here? Heart and soul. Deep down inside of them, what's their message? Heart and soul. And at the core level, base here is the crucible itself. Now, can you see this is a structure here? A crucible is a bowl. It's a bowl type structure that's designed to withstand intense pressures of alchemical reactions, okay? And that includes what happens in relationships. They use them in laboratories, but relationships are like laboratories, okay, for our own evolution, okay? And that's why we choose relationships or not. And in a relationship, a crucible is formed. So what is the nature of that crucible? Is it shaky, flexible, solid, new, old, fractured, finished, just sprouting? What is it? Anyway, let's have a look over here. What is it blooming? What is blossoming? What is growing out of it? What is being fostered here? And we're going to look at circumstantial and energy, environmental influences. I like to think of it as the weather. It's out there. You can even think of it as the planets and the eclipses. Let's have a look. Let's get started. We have the Queen of Swords. So my feeling is that this could be a very, I don't know, I just felt it very challenging period for you, Scorpio, where there's a lot of clearing of the air and the energy of, let's say, recalibrating your BS meter. Your levels of tolerance for BS are going to decrease rapidly because there's so much Capricorn energy piling up there. It's very serious, somber, sobering up, reality-based type of energy, which is going to be about no nonsense. It's about rolling your sleeves up. It's about getting to the truth, integrity, the reality of what's happening in your relationships, in your situation, and you making it very clear. And circumstances are going to put I feel a lot of pressure on you, Scorpio, and the relationship and a significant other to set aside trivialities and anything that is bogus or flimsy and start to focus on what's real and what is good and get basically much more serious in the context of love and relationship, okay? Basically, using the healing power of no to anything and everything that is not acceptable and welcoming anything that is acceptable. And be prepared to go through like these challenges accordingly. Let's have a look. What are you radiating here, okay? The Three of Swords. Very broken-hearted energy in a reading like this. You might be feeling, Scorpio, that a very, very, let's say, I mean, you know, in a relationship reading, a lot of people see this as a cheating card or a triangulated card, or where you have a very difficult situation of a love dynamic that is like teetering. You know how you can have one relationship and then there's a secondary relationship, a primary and a secondary relationship. Some people have secret relationships, some have open relationships. Either way, this is a challenging kind of energy. So this is, in this reading for you Scorpios, this is, to me, it looks like extremely challenging energy, and it might be very much to do with the reality checking of what's going on here, your understanding and the clarification of what's going on with you as a person. And it looks like it's going to be hard to ignore the energy of what is not working. What is not working in the relationship? A lot of clarity, like say, being brought to the surface that needs to be brought to the surface and dealt with in a very adult, mature, responsible way. Now, this might already, with these cards here, we're also looking virtually at a breaking point, like a very, very serious breaking point types of energy. So please be aware of that. It doesn't mean everything's over. To me, this is often, I see this as like a red engine light flashing in a car. You can't ignore that stuff and pretend it's not there, because eventually you'll end up in a roadside ditch, okay? With you, your relationship, the other party, and it's not good. There's no good outcome. So with the Three of Swords, my feeling is to be very, very aware, very crystal clear, and unambiguous about what is happening in the relationship. And as you know, kind of like, have you heard that expression, no finance, no romance? There's another one I like to use sometimes, no communication, no relation. And if the communications are bogus or not genuine, that puts strain on the relationship. And maybe there's a real clearing here that needs to happen with this new moon eclipse, okay? The January thing and the eclipse later on. That Leo Aquarius eclipse is going to be in hard angles to you when the sun goes into Aquarius on January 20th and for the next few weeks after that. What are they radiating over here? Eight of Swords. Gosh, we got a lot of swords energy going on here. So there's a lot to do with communications or miscommunications or clarifying of communications in what is going on in a relationship. And it might be very, very tough for them too. They might be under extreme pressure to walk away because of this. If there is something going on with you, Scorpio, where there is a relationship that is in jeopardy, where there is another party involved somewhere, and decisions have to be made, because sometimes with triangulated things like this, it's almost impossible to operate in three-dimensional domains here. You know, and the platonic level up in heaven and everything like that, with friendship, you know, it's not an issue. But when it comes to the raw ingredients of classic relationship, which is binary, like the way the universe works, there's positive, negative, yes, no, light, dark, sunlight, no light, up, down, intimacy, separation. I think the issue here is becoming crystal clear, and you might be dealing with someone who against all their deepest wishes might be choosing to walk away, okay? Because they don't know how to handle things. It can be very, very confusing for them. They might feel as though they're stuck in a puzzle, stuck in a maze without any solution. But the point is that a lot of this is in the mind, okay? A lot of this is happening in the world of communications, which happens typically from our neck upwards. And so, you know, despite all these swords here and the energy of what feels to me like extremely challenging circumstances, things happen for a reason. And my feeling here is that this has to happen. This stuff needs to be exposed. It needs to come to the surface. Like mature conversations need to happen between the parties involved here. And so everybody knows where they stand. What's happening deep inside of you? Okay, let's have a look here. High Priestess. Wow. Okay, so I felt a few things here immediately. It's like you're going to need to know what you need to know when you need to know it, according to like divine communications, psychic messaging, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairbeing, and maintaining a very profound connection with what I would call heaven, your angels, your spirit, your the land beyond the veil. And remember, I don't know if you've had these kind of experiences, but some people, when you get to these tumultuous moments in life, especially when you're facing, let's just say it, the word death, we become aware that the veil is extremely thin. So you might be straddling two worlds here, Scorpio, where you're dealing with things in a very, very classic, traditional, worldly manner to do with communications and what is and is not working between you and another. And it's very confounding for them because, you know, we wouldn't be here unless there was love in some way, shape, or form or other. And there might be, with all these communications coming to the surface about what is not working, my feeling is that you've almost got nothing to lean on except the divinity of this whole thing, and so that you don't take it personally. You know how a lot of couples have to go through these like stages of courtship rituals where they, oh, that's lovey-dovey, oh, I really love you, oh my God, it's passionate, we're soulmates, and blah, blah, blah. And then you come to this real solid, like, reality check moment where, like, pretend there's like the love police, or the, you know, there's somebody or heaven is watching over you, and it's time to do the reality check, and they go through your credentials and everything. And so this relationship, to me, it feels like deep down for you, you're leaning on the divinity of the whole thing in a very, very, let's say, devotional, sacrificial way, almost to the degree of martyrdom, without martyring yourself or martyring the other or martyring the relationship. But you really don't know what's going on, and the only way that you will know is when you need to know it according to divine, what I think of as divine intervention. The other feeling I have here is that you have to be aware, dear Scorpio, that you may be dealing with someone who is like reflecting this energy back to you, where you might be kind of quaking in your boots a little bit if you're dealing with uh, something that you might have wished for and now you've got it. You know, be very, very careful what you wish for. If you, Scorpio, had been wishing for a relationship of very high integrity, truth, substance, honor, self-respect, and loving communications at the very highest levels that are possible here on Earth, to the point where it doesn't make sense in logic, and now you have that, and you're dealing with this energy deep at the core inside of you, that's profound. I would say it's challenging. What are they radiating here? Okay, the Knight of Cups. Okay, well, I'm very happy to see this, Scorpio, because to me it's an indication that they have nothing but love for you and they only want the best, and they are going to be doing everything they can to carry the energy of justice and peace and love and harmony to the highest levels of integrity that they are able in a very challenging situation. Okay? Now, the Capricorn Scorpio energy in astrology is typically thought of as very harmonious. So you might be dealing with an extremely challenging situation in a very sober, mature manner, in such a way that this actually becomes an amazing blessing for you guys. Like, you have to go through this at some point. You know how couples, a lot of couples, they hook up and they don't deal with the serious stuff. When problems happen, they start to bury it, and eventually the relationship implodes. But this looks like a situation where you guys, both of you, are aware of it, that you've reached a very serious kind of threshold moment. And it's happening this month with the eclipses, and it's going to affect you profoundly and them profoundly. And it's taking both of you to the limits of your ability of endurance. As we intimate and separate, we are loving, we are loved, we are loving, we are loved. And it puts both parties almost at odds with each other. It doesn't mean there's vindictiveness or, you know, hatred or anything like that. It's just getting, things are very, very serious, like having very serious conversation about what's actually happening here. And they only want the best. They have the best of intentions. And to me, it feels like you don't have anything that you can do except to trust in the divine nature of the relationship. That's how I feel it here for you, okay, Scorpio? So it might be very scary for you, because Scorpios, you like to be in control. And when you are not in control and you are having to hand over to the powers that be, above and beyond, behind the veil, that trump everything here, that can be very humbling for you, Scorpio. Okay? Let's have a look at the relationship. Okay, the Two of Cups. Well, you guys are freaking lucky, because this is going to give you the ability to handle extreme pressures and extreme stress, because the Two of Cups is so pure. It's very fragile. It's easy to contaminate and taint this, but the love that exists here is so pure. Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of a moment here. Sorry. So if you guys are right, excuse me, if you're at the very, very tippy edge of a relationship situation, and you're dealing with all the things that you really don't want to deal with, that you really don't want to talk about, but let's say the pressures of the universe, divine intervention is essentially forcing this to happen, forced evolution, which might not be fun, it might not be pretty, but it is happening, and it looks like it's worth it, because you guys have this. This is beautiful. This is just like pure love. And so You know, sometimes relationships are taken to the brink in order to understand and be aware of how lucky you are to have something like this. Sorry, I don't. What's being fostered? Okay. And out of this grows more love. Oh man, this is a really hard for reading for me to deliver, Scorpios. I have to admit this, because it looks like something really beautiful comes out of something extremely challenging. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. And it's going to happen in the realm of communications. Very, what it looks to me like very tough, very humbling communications between yourself and a significant other. It's going to be very hard for them. I think it's going to be very hard for you. But it looks like the relationship can handle it. And there's something really beautiful going on here with the Queen of Cups. And I think you're fostering this, and you are both discovering like next level love. What, I don't know what that is. I just made that up. But next level stuff where there's very few people who understand or know what this is about, but you are fostering this, nurturing this, creating this, and you are like creating love by going deep into the places where nobody wants to go. You're bringing out the love that's actually there. It's gonna. I don't know the details of how this would work. I would hazard to speak on that, but with the Queen of Cups here, I feel you've got this amazing, amazing thing going on between you guys, and my guess is that there are very, very few people who would consciously wish to put themselves into something like this or through something like this, even knowing that they would have this. If somebody told you that you guys are so lucky that you have the Two of Cups at the core of your relationship, and you said, oh, okay, that's great, so we can handle anything. And then they tell you, your angels tell you, now that you have that, you have to be aware that you're going to go through this. Okay? And then you kind of go, well, wait a minute. Maybe, can we just have all of this without all of that, please? And the messages from the great beyond are, it doesn't quite work that way. You wanted big love, you wanted pure love, you wanted growth and love, you wanted love to breed love. Well, this is what it works like. Okay? Good luck, Scorpio. I'm sorry I had a bit of a wobbly moment there. You're very strong, Scorpio. The Capricorn energy is very harmonious for you. So as challenging as this might be, you've got some beautiful energy that's being fostered here, nurtured here. A lot of it coming from the great beyond. Maybe you guys are like channels or portals or something. I don't quite get it. Anyway, all the best. Thank you for dropping in at our Illumination. Do all that other stuff, check the links, do your cross watches, do your sun, moon, and rising. You know what to do. Okay, bye-bye.